everybody, and thanks for waking up with The Chase.
No way.
My God.
Oh, my God.
That's a 1-1, ladies and gentlemen. Go to Dave's camera. I must ask you a question right now. 1-1, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Whoa. Sit back, relax, and crack a cold one. The Chase is live. All right, good morning, Dan. Thank you for joining us so much. I appreciate you waking up with... I don't know.
Oh, man.
I really don't know what to do anymore. You know? Party people! Good. I hate you guys. I'm just kidding. What's up, guys? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Chase. Good morning, Wahoos, Chelsea Dagger, H. Cooper. Happy hump day to all y'all. Thanks for joining us. Party people in the house, no doubt. Little tag team back again. Here we go. It is hump day. It is midweek. We're trying to get to the end of the week, just like everybody else, baby. And I'm Troy LeCastro, your host for the day, alongside my co-host, David Yarger. David, brother, how we doing?
Not great. Team on my hat got eliminated last night, and now I got to live with Yankee fans for the next 37 years of my life. How about Gleyber Torres ending the game with the little baby rock? How about Gleyber Torres going 3-19 with a 158 average in the freaking... What the hell is going on right now?
These are your tears going into my cup.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Gleyber Torres, man. Great series. 3-19. Rock that baby for the last out. Seen freaking Charmin rolls that weren't as soft.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, David. Really appreciate that. Can you tell how sour he is? That's all I
will
gotta
throw
say.
my pen and hit you.
That's
Right
all
in the
I
eye.
gotta say.
You're a Red Sox fan.
Do you think you could just step away from that and get out the box for a minute and give us our motivation of the day? Maybe this will help you out.
I mean, the Sabres won, so I'm happy. It's
Go
fine.
Sabes.
Cavs start tonight. Anyways, if you quit once, it becomes a habit. Never quit. Michael Jordan. It's like I'll never quit crap talking Yankee fans. Just saying.
It's gonna be a long episode, folks. But a great episode at that. So, thank you for that absolute masterpiece of a quote. I'm glad you were able to get through that. So
My pleasure.
Let's take a look at what's going on today. We got today's new releases. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means, babies. We'll check out some PSA statistics from the month of September. Also, Beckett announced some changes to the look of their slabs. You're going to want to see this. Also, CSG recently announced they graded quite a historic card. So we'll let you see what they're up to with that. We have an amazing interview with the Great Curator, Daniel Nguyen. Looking forward to that one for sure. And of course, we're wrapping up the day with a box rip giveaway. Today, it's Bowman Sterling. Brand new, fresh off the press. Oh. Yes, that is out today. But let's see if Meerkat texted me. We're going to get you a giveaway winner a little bit later in the show. Remember, on Monday, we opened up some Topps Archive baseball, and we asked you who you thought was going to be the World Series MVP. We'll get you a winner later in the show. Don't let us forget that. Meerkat just texted me, uh-oh. So why don't we start off with taking a look at today's new releases hitting the shelves and available on dacardworld.com. For that, I'm going to throw it over to David.
So first off, we have our box rip for the day, the 2022 Bowman Sterling Baseball Hobby. Sterling, you're on the look for 5 chrome autographs per box. And of course, you want to search for those one-of-one super fractor parallels. Also, collect prospect and rookie autographs as well as dual refractor autographs. And with most baseball product, you want the rookies. So, of course, you're going to want to look out for Wander Franco, Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez. Those are going to be the ones. I'm also looking forward to these prospect cards. So Lawler, Watson, Meyer, that's a great triple auto card right there. Up and coming stars. So looking forward to that one. Looking forward to ripping the 5 packs later too.
Yes, sir. Same here. And next up, we have 2022 Panini National Treasures FIFA Road to the World Cup Soccer Hobby. That's right. In this product, you have 8 autographs or memorabilia cards per box, 1 base card / base parallel per box, and 1 additional base, parallel, auto, mem, or booklet. Additionally, in the first off the line product of the NT, find 2 first off the line exclusive Ruby parallels numbered out of 11 per box. Each first off the line box has 1 printing plate inside as well. Collect all 4 printing plates, which come in the colors cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, obviously all numbered 1 of 1. This should be a fun product as we inch closer to that World Cup coming up in November, and obviously biggest names in the game in that.
Yes, looking forward to the World Cup this year. Next up, we're going to head to the ring. We got 2022 WWE Impeccable Wrestling Hobby. This one's Troy's excited for. I know for sure we've been talking about it a lot lately.
Pumped.
Here you're searching for 5 autograph cards per box, 1 unique insert card per box, and special inserts printed on metal. Nice. Additionally, in the first off the line product, search for a first of the line exclusive, which is 1 bonus. I did it again. I said boneless.
Can I get it?
Which is 1 bonus stainless star. First of the line card limited to 15 copies per box. This seems like a product that we need to rip. I'm just saying. It seems like it's right up your alley.
Can I get it boneless? Let me get it boneless. Anybody who knows that meme, enjoy. You're right. DA and Impeccable are just too sweet. All right, heading to around the hobby topics, we're going to take a look at a monthly special of ours. We love doing this. PSA unveiled their numbers for the month of September. And as we always do, let's put up the stats and discuss them. So, Dave, Mr. Stevens. Okay, I was going to ask you to pull up the first one, and there you did it. So there you go. Most submitted cards by category. Interesting here. Basketball down, football stagnant, Pokemon up, and baseball stagnant.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You think with basketball right around the corner. I mean, it started last night. Granted, This is September numbers, but you'd think with basketball approaching, maybe it would have stayed at 2. Obviously, baseball in the postseason staying the same. Pokemon up from number 3. Everything else kind of not moving too much, but
see, funny you say that because for me, the interesting part is that 4 is football and it stayed stagnant and didn't move up for September. Because September, that's beginning of the NFL season. I would have thought that would have jumped up a couple spots, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that too. I mean, football full swing. We're in week 7 now.
Yep.
So you would think, maybe going up a few spots.
October, I think you'll see a jump in basketball and football. I think they will obviously. I think there will be some movement there in that top.
Possibly
5.
hockey too.
Yep. Yeah, possibly hockey too. Hockey may not kick into November. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Can we go to slide number 2, please? All right, there you go. This is most submitted cards for sports. Shohei at the top. Now, to your point about hockey, interesting here. Wow. A Sidney Crosby rookie, not in the top 10 in August, shoots all the way up to number 2.
Yeah, that's intriguing to see because you don't. Yeah. I feel like you don't hear a lot from hockey cards getting graded a lot.
Yeah, no,
but
right.
Sid the Kid moving up, not even in the top 10. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure he's coming up on some milestones maybe, but I'm just surprised Crosby out of all people shooting up like that all the way up.
I just looked at number 9, Darius Garland making the list.
Darius Garland, huh? I think.
That's like. I mean, I know I'm a Cavs fan, but that's just crazy to me.
No, like him coming into the top 10, number 9 like that. Like to me, that might be a sign of people really believe in him, and maybe it's a future investment type thing, and they think he's going to have a big year.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, hopefully. In all honesty.
Yeah, right.
Anthony Edwards dropped 3 spots too. Holy.
Yep, and then LaMelo Ball going up though. Interesting. I wonder if that is due to, I don't know, the number change maybe, or people. He seems to be a very collectible character where he's talked about a lot, and I think he's a highlight reel. I mean, LaMelo Ball has a lot of highlights, but has he really proven anything
Right.
yet? So that'll be interesting. But he did
Starting
have a number change, so I wonder if people are trying to get the number 2 stuff graded because I know he moved to number 1.
Starting the season injured too, so see how that changes in October maybe.
Very good call. All right, can we have number 3, please? Thank you. Now, this is the most submitted athletes by sports category. Joe Burrow up. Not much change in football. Makes sense. Not really a lot of... Interesting. Juan Soto in 5.
Yeah, making
Juan
his,
Soto. I think that would probably be the thing I looked at the most because obviously basketball, really not much there. Interesting, though. Michael Jordan, Kobe, and then LaMelo. LeBron dropping to top 5 or dropping to 5 in the top 5.
yeah, this nothing too crazy, nothing too drastic, but yeah, LeBron dropping, Edwards increasing after we just seen that he dropped in the last graphic. Kind of interesting. And then Burrow up. I don't know. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, nothing really surprised me here. Juan Soto, I think, makes sense because of where he is now in the playoffs, obviously in the NLCS. Him moving to the Padres seems to be paying off. It seems to be paying dividends. So maybe people are thinking he could capture the World Series title this year with the team. Everything. I mean, I would say the most interesting thing to me is LeBron James dropping. And this Sidney Crosby thing too. Sidney Crosby, not even in the top 5 in August, shoots up again.
Right.
But then I see Jay-Z says Crosby had 500 goals last year and is now the longest Pittsburgh Penguin at 18 years with the team. So that obviously could play a factor right there.
True. I'm going to be looking forward to Shohei in the coming weeks because of the comments he made about the Angels. So
yeah, that'll be, keep an eye on that. That's for sure. All right. And last but not least, thank you. This is continued here. Golf, soccer, emerging sports. Jokic makes sense because I believe he won a title, I think.
yeah,
Jokic won another tournament. I forgot which one. I think it was a major. He might have won another major. I can't quite remember. Ronaldo, I watched I actually did watch a Premier League game. I know he's on Man United again. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's one of those things where he's back on his old team, but he scored in the game that I did watch. So I wonder if that's another thing. I'm surprised. I'm going to be interested. I'm surprised that Holland isn't up here, or Holland, however you may say it. I know it's said both ways.
yeah.
Erling is nowhere in the top 5 in soccer. I'm actually quite surprised.
Yeah,
I don't know if there might be a smaller sample size of his cards out there.
Yeah, I'm not like a huge soccer guy, but every time I would log on Twitter on like a weekend morning or whatever, it seems like Holland's scoring all the time. So it's kind of interesting not to see him there. Mbappe, I'm not surprised he's finally cracking the top 5.
No, that makes sense to me. Bloomy says here that it could be, or it is Ronaldo's last World Cup. So, okay, that makes sense. People preparing for that. That makes sense. So interesting. And Wahoo's, yes, I did see that. Pete in the late night lounge last night, a Ronaldo 1 of 1, true 1 of 1 from Mosaic Road to the World Cup. So I will have a picture of that up, I'm sure, and you'll see the highlight on the DA Card World socials.
Yes.
So that's that for this wrapping up the month of September for PSA. Not too many surprises there.
No, not really. And some guys making their first appearances since we've started looking at this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree with you. Nothing too drastic, I'd say. So,
all right.
Let's move on to Beckett. Let's go from PSA to Beckett. Beckett announced some changes to its slabs. The grading service announced for graded autograph cards, they will no longer put the auto grade if it is lower than a 10, meaning there will no longer be the autograph grade in the top corner unless it is a 10. Just because it won't be on the slab doesn't mean they aren't grading autos. You will still be able to search for your auto's grade by looking up the certification number on the Beckett website. On Instagram, Beckett said, "As we continue to make improvements to our grading process, this change will streamline our operations to better serve collectors and improve turnaround times in the future."
Yeah, I think it looks a lot cleaner. I'll be honest. Oh, hey, Link's Shadow Box or Link's Shadow Bong. You won. We whispered to you. I need you to send us your information to thechase@dacardworld.com so we can give you your hit parade that you won. So Link's Shadow Bong, I whispered you on the DA Card World account. You won the hit parade. Please email us your information, your shipping information at thechase@dacarwell.com. Congratulations. Happy for you. Now, yesterday, our friends over at CSG reported that they graded one of the most historic cards of all time. That classic and coveted 1952 Topps number 311. Some know that we have always been down, down. Mickey Mantle came across the grading center desk, and CSG said it was a graded an 8. It is the most valuable card that CSG has graded since its beginning in 2021. Fewer than 20 are graded higher out of about 2,000 in the world, including one that sold for $12.6 million in August 2022, setting a record for most expensive sports card at auction. Andy Broom, former guest on The Chase, vice president of CSG as well, said, quote, "It was an honor to authenticate and grade what is one of the most valuable cards in the hobby. This resounding affirmation from the collecting world follows CSG's monumental efforts to quickly become one of the market's leading third-party authentication, grading, and encapsulation services. We look forward to seeing more cards of this caliber."
I love the look of the CSG slab. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's another one that's very, very nice. I actually remember I sent out a picture. I don't know if you guys saw on the Chase's Twitter about the in sync
Oh yeah,
photos that I found. Somebody sent me a picture that the Justin Timberlake ones, somebody had sent a couple in and got them graded by CSG, and they looked awesome.
Get a slabbed up JT card.
Slabbed up JT. It's gonna be me. Did anybody get the 311 reference? I don't think anybody did, but I know you did. I know you did. Stevens appreciated that. If I did anything to you, then just let me do it now.
Should we get to our
Yeah, want to
live
move
guest?
on. Yeah, okay. All right, let's move ahead to our live guest for the day. Today we have the man who calls himself the Great Curator. He helps educate the public on the hobby. He entertains with some fun content, and he's a huge wrestling guy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, help me to give it up for our guy, Daniel Nguyen. All right, good morning, Dan. Thank you for joining us so much. I appreciate you waking up with us. First things first, I got to say, love the backdrop that you have.
Appreciate it.
That was perfectly placed.
Product placement, guys. You guys know about that.
Oh yeah.
That's right, man. That's what it's all about. That's content to content right there. That's very understanding. But I know you are. It says right in the Instagram bio, the uncut sheet collector. So that's just an example of many, I'm assuming.
Yes, I consider myself an uncut sheet connoisseur. So I love them. But this is actually not an uncut sheet. This is actually a individual card set, completely framed up. So that's what this is.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, 1992 Marvel Masterpieces.
Which we spoke with. Are you familiar with Justin Underwood? He does Spidey Hits on YouTube.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
Oh yeah, Justin. We spoke to him when Spider-Man Marvel Metal Universe came out, and he was kind of talking about some of the masterpiece sets from the 90s, and those are gorgeous for anybody who doesn't know what those are.
Yeah, this particular set here is my favorite. I actually have a sealed box here also, if I can show you guys that. So just one of the most groundbreaking sets ever in Marvel history, and they're actually coming out with like a documentary book about it pretty soon.
Very nice. We'll have to look for that on shelves at the nearest Barnes & Noble, not Barnes & Nobles. I don't know why people add the S to the end.
Noble, yeah.
So I love. By the way, uncut sheet connoisseur. Do you put that on your resume? Because connoisseur sounds really fancy. I think that goes on there.
It is. It's one of my many titles that I've appointed myself.
So that actually gets me into my first question there. You are known as the Great Curator. So in your words, who is the Great Curator?
Okay, so the Great Curator. A lot of people think that I call myself that because I think that I'm great, but actually it's a pop culture reference. It comes from a very, very popular international TV show called Doctor Who. I don't know if you guys ever watched that or anybody, any of your viewers, but it's very well known in the sci-fi community. And it's from one of their more recent anniversary episodes where the Doctor, who's like this who's like this immortal, interstellar, time traveling, space traveling crime fighter. That's the way you can describe him. He just had a big battle where he saved the universe, and he's like all tired, and he's like, man, this is too much. He's sitting in a museum. He's like, I need to quit. I need to retire. And he's looking around, and he's looking at this museum, and he's like, you know what? I could retire here. I could curate this museum. I would be the great curator. And that's where that line comes from. And I remember watching that episode. It's one of my favorites. And I always thought to myself, man, that's such a cool like name. And I've always thought of myself as like a curator of pop culture and things like that. So when it came time to have an Instagram handle, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then that name just popped up in my head. So that's where it comes from. It's a pop culture reference.
Well, man, I tell you, just like looking at obviously the complete collection, the complete set you have behind you, but a couple other things to your left and your right, it looks like you could be curating a museum yourself there.
One day. That's the grand plan, guys.
Yeah, I see a little Kobe Bryant Time magazine right behind you too.
Oh yeah,
I got
everything. I got sports, pop culture, toys, comic books, you name it. I'm a hoarder, guys. I'm a hoarder.
Hey.
We'll see you on a future episode of that too. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Being in this hobby, I think it's hard not to be a hoarder.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
So I've seen you talk about keeping the hobby safe. What are some ways that we as a collecting community can keep it safe?
Good question. When I got back into the hobby, I noticed there was like this. There seemed to be like this shark mentality. Like you had to be on top of your game. You had to get the best deals or you were going to get eaten up. So you either had to be a shark or you were going to be like a guppy, right? Or whatever it is. And I felt like that was not a great way to conduct yourself within the hobby. That may work for a short period of time as people are trying to like level up in the hobby and things like that. But I think a lot of people would be kind of turned off by that type of mentality, right? So I kind of pushed, when I started making my own content, I kind of pushed this message, this mission statement that I have of creating like a gentleman investor code where everybody was kind, nice, polite, helpful to each other, and basically kind of raise the standard of conduct we have in the hobby where we all hold each other accountable to that. And by doing that, I believe that it will not only help keep everybody in line, but also make it easier to kind of spot those bad actors out there. So I think that one way that we can do that is basically by trying to share as much information as we can with each other, by watching out for each other, and just kind of like have more of a community mindset versus like a try to get the best deal type mindset. It doesn't matter who you hurt in the process, like more long-term thinking.
Yeah, which honestly, I think that flows very nicely into the next question. You talk about that. It seems like the hobby is very much under the spotlight now, possibly more than ever, even when the first boom came along. How do you feel about the current state of this collecting industry?
Ooh, that's a good question too. I feel like we're in an interesting time right now. And it's going to be very challenging for a lot of people. The last couple years, if you got into the hobby or you were in the hobby before the big boom, you saw a time of prosperity. Everything grew exponentially. A lot of people made a lot of money. A lot of people got into the hobby and were able to make money. So times were good the last like year and a half, 2 years or so. But now you're seeing people really be challenged by the way that the market is reacting to everything, right? And how people are getting smarter about what cards they buy and things like that. And you're seeing a lot of people who are not used to seeing downturns in markets, react negatively or panic and things like that. So I think that the coming year in the hobby, coming year or 2 years, will really weed out a lot of people that are not meant or cannot handle this type of market where there's a lot of volatility and things like that. I think that one thing that we can do is basically try to get back to our roots of what this is. Remember, a lot of people try to treat cards like they're stocks, right? Like they're a stock market, and they want to day trade, and they, things like that. But we have to remember that this is a hobby focused market where collectors are buying these things either for their personal collections or as what we call them now, long-term investments and things like that. So a lot of people have to learn that all markets, it doesn't matter how hot they are, they always cool down, and they always have a down period. But then the down period, as bad as it seems, it always ends at some point, and then it goes back up again. And that is true for all markets. It's very cyclical. So I think that's where we have to kind of like focus our education right now to let these people know about these things, because I'm seeing a lot of like negativity and like finger pointing and infighting within the hobby and things like that. And I would just hate to see. I personally try to speak out on that a little bit, because I don't want to see us like regress, or I don't want to see a lot of people leave the hobby because they got burned for whatever reason, and it's just it doesn't have the same appeal that it did a year ago.
Sure. So, for me, not my words, not your words, for someone who has an attitude like that, who seems to kind of want to just have peace within everybody there. What do you say to those people that are panicking or, are having a hard time with what's going on? What do you kind of say to them to maybe make them feel at ease, or, realize, hey, it's okay?
Sure. I mean, there's two different approaches to it. If you're coming from like a hobby perspective, then it really shouldn't matter to you, where the prices of these things are. If anything, this is the opportunity that a lot of people were waiting for. Those people that complained about how prices were too high a year ago, things like that, this is their chance to get into cards that they could only dream about a year ago, right? Or have a chance of getting into some of the more desirable cards and things like that. For people that really treated this as a means of income and investing, sure, I can understand how they would be upset and worried. But again, if this is the only market you've ever been in, then you're not gonna be able to see past the next 6 months, right? Because you've only known a bullish market. You've only known prosperity. You've only known prices going up. All right. But if you do your research and you look at other markets like stocks, right? If you want to compare this to stocks, for example, it always every bull period, it always goes down, but then it eventually comes up. So you just got to learn to ride it out. So this is going to be a really great teaching moment for a lot of young people that are in the hobby that might not be experienced. If they want to call themselves investors, they're not experienced in different type of markets. This is going to be a really good period for them to kind of learn and be able to react to that. I would say that if you're in a really bad position, what you have to do is basically just try to survive any way you can. Either liquidate or just hold your cards and then just kind of ride it out, because eventually I do believe that everything will start to improve as the rest of the economy and markets improve also.
Now, moving forward, I'm going to jump ahead on the questions a little bit.
Go for it.
You talk about the dips, dives, and climbs of the hill called the hobby.
Yeah.
The ever-changing conditions. Learning new things about the hobby. How important is it to you personally to further educate hobbyists and get your wealth of knowledge out there to help them out?
I think is extremely important, because we're in a really weird niche market, right? Like if you want to compare this to like other types of markets where they have value, like stocks, for example, right? Like people go into stocks with like this profit first mentality. They understand what they're getting into. But with us, there's an emotional attachment to the things that we buy also, because we're collectors. So we have to constantly have this balance between buying things that we like versus buying things that we think can hold value, or that we plan to make money on and things like that. So it's very easy for people who are coming into the hobby to over leverage themselves or make easy rookie mistakes, get burned, and then leave the hobby very quickly. And that's not going to be good for anybody or any of us long term, right? So it's very important for us to have like different levels of educational content, I believe, that can that people can consume out there. You have your entry level content, which is somebody like Jeff Wilson, sports card investor. He makes great entry level content for people. You have like more advanced content out there where people can teach you how to buy, flip, and sell. Sorry, that's my cuckoo clock. If you guys can hear that.
It's about that time.
Can I show you this for a second?
Yeah. It's
Sorry.
about that.
It goes
I like the
crazy
cuckoo
sometimes.
clock.
This is my Simpsons cuckoo clock here,
Oh
and
my
every
God.
hour, Homer Simpson pops out.
I love a good show and tell.
So
There's someone in
Sorry.
our room right now who I know knows someone who would love that cuckoo clock.
The cuckoo clock.
I'm like trying to give you guys like
this.
this very thought out answer about like investing in hobby, and then this cuckoo clock thing's going off. So
Very
sorry,
professional answer.
Embarrassing.
Very professional, and then Homer Simpson's just going off. I love it.
Right. But to get back to your question, I think it's very, very important, and that's where this like sense of community that I'm trying to push, this sense of like being a gentleman investor and having a high level of standard comes from, because we have to share our knowledge. The people that have been in the hobby for 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, or 30 years, I mean, they've seen it all, right? And they have a wealth of knowledge where they can really help a lot of people that are just coming into, like the newbies, the rookies, right? And if we can watch out for these new people coming in and not take advantage of them and not let them get burned out or anything like that, that will help the hobby continue to grow. And that's really where I believe the values of all cards comes from, is how many people are in our hobby, right? The more we can grow our hobby, the more demand that creates for any of these cards that are out there. It doesn't matter if they're sports cards, non-sports cards, or whatever, right? The more demand that we can create by growing the hobby, that's what will really protect the value of our cards going in the future. So I'm very, very big on educating people. I joke around a lot. I use my platform to joke around and things like that. But every once in a while, I try to like hide little messages underneath all my my reels and things like that, just to try to educate people when I can. I don't want to be known as like a serious like educator, because I just feel like I can't be taken too seriously, because as you can see, I'm a grown child, a man child with a Simpsons cuckoo clock. But I try to share as much knowledge as I can with people when I can.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, I'm relatively raw to the hobby too. Like, I'm just kind of starting out myself, and having people that are there that have been around that will be like, hey, I wouldn't do that if I was you, or hey, this is a good idea, whatever. Having those people around you is like really helpful.
It's important. It's important in my opinion.
And I can just add one thing to that too.
Yeah.
I think the hobby is very unique because we're not like one industry. Like, we're not like financial industry. We're not like education industry or whatever other type of specific niche field. We are a hobby where we draw people from all different types of industries. We have professionals, we have educated doctors, lawyers, corporate people, things like that. So we're in a position where, like, within our little groups in the hobby, you could have access to people from all over who have different skill sets, different knowledge that you can draw on, and you can learn from that. So I think that's a great opportunity also.
Hell, there's even athletes out there that are part of the hobby that are they do stuff like Phil Hughes, for example. Phil Hughes used to pitch for the Yankees, and now he's got his own card thing going on.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, I'm a victim of circumstance too, where I was in it, obviously got out of it, and then obviously coming back here, getting back into it. So it's important to just keep educating every day, and that's why I love having conversations like this. Now, you talk about your content, Dan, how you try not to take yourself too seriously, but you try to plug in some education there every once in a while through your lighthearted content. But I want to know, so for collectors or just anybody in general watching your content, what do you want them to feel when they visit your pages and they see your stuff?
I honestly, I pride myself on bringing smiles to people's faces. I like to make people laugh. I want people to have fun in the hobby, because when I got back in, it was very competitive, very, very ultra competitive. And I saw like how like if you were doing well, you're happy, but if you weren't doing well, you're a little bit upset and bitter. And then when the market started to go down, that's when you really started to see people get real nasty with each other. And then that's when I actually started making content. When I first got back into the hobby, I did not make content. I did not have any desire or intention to do that. I just wanted to be in the hobby, right, and do my thing. But when the market started to go down last year and people started to get like, you would see people make videos about how the hobby's dead, how the hobby's crashing and this and that, and people would get nasty and snap at each other and things like that. I started to make content to try to share my perspective on things, to try to help people kind of relax a little bit and kind of navigate the storms. And then that's when I started making like serious content in the beginning. I tried to be like very professional and everything like that, because that's my background. But then it didn't really feel natural to me, and it made it feel like kind of like a job to kind of have to present myself that way. So then I kind of like let my personality come out a little bit more, and the reception, the feedback that I got from that was very positive. So I just kind of ran with it, and it's just gotten like 10 times worse since I started, in terms of me just being, over the top, nerdy and like just a big dork about the hobby and everything like that. But I really love just trying to make people smile, laugh, and enjoy the hobby for what it is. And I use that as an opportunity to also kind of sneak in some educational content here and there from that. But that's my main goal. Everything I produce, I just want people to like just have a smile on their face, whether they think it's cool, whether they think it's funny or ridiculous or whatever it is. I want to, just make people happy. I don't want, like, there's other type of content out there that kind of elicits like some type of a negative reaction, like tries to create like a false sense of grievance in people. I don't want to do anything like that. I feel like the limited time that we all have to spend in the hobby, because we all have real jobs, unless you're in this full time, right? Most people, they have a very limited amount of time that they can dedicate to the hobby every day, where they scroll through their phone or whatever. And I want them, if they're going to be looking at my content, my stuff, I want them to, smile and laugh, at least from that limited interaction.
And speaking of content, because we see it more and more now in today's day and age, especially in the hobby, how vital is content creation when it comes to the card community?
I think personally, I may be biased on this, but personally, I think that content is what drives the hobby these days. Before we had social media, for people that collected in the 90s, you can remember what it was like to be in the hobby. It was very, very, I would say, regional, where, you couldn't really communicate with a lot of people. You would just go to your local shows or your local LCS, right? And you have your interactions that way. But it was very hard to like show off your collection, to kind of educate yourself, other than, monthly Beckett magazines with articles in them or anything like that. So with the advent of social media, it's kind of like allowed us to all communicate with each other. We can directly communicate with people all over the world and share our collections. And it's very important for content creators to drive that type of interaction, right? It probably would not be as exciting or interactive if there was no content creators out there and people were just posting their cards on Instagram and things like that, right? You need people to create show vlogs. You need podcasts like your weekly podcast to kind of, or daily content, things like that. We need that type of consistency in the hobby to keep people's interest going, right? And we need creative people to continue to kind of create content that just like entertains people on a daily basis to keep them interested in the hobby. Otherwise, things can kind of get stale. I know a lot of people like kind of make fun of content creators, that sometimes like people are always making fun of me at card shows because I have a camera, right? And I'm filming things and I look ridiculous when I'm filming things, but it looks cool when we post it, right? So that's like a sacrifice we have to make, but it's very, very important for content creators to be involved in a hobby, and anybody can be a content creator. Content creators are not influencers in my mind, right? Some people have reached that level where they are like legit influencers, like Ken Golden, for example, Jeff Wilson. right? But for the majority of people out there that make content like myself, we're just content creators sharing our journey, our perspective, our love of the hobby with the whole world, and that helps a lot of people who can't have the same type of interactions we do. It's people, not everybody can go to a card show, not everybody can has an LCS that they can visit. So a lot of people live vicariously through us, and that helps grow the hobby. It helps it keep it going.
Perfectly said.
Said it, yeah.
Because content creators ourselves,
I'm sitting here like nodding my head, and it probably looks like I'm just doing the whole, news nod in my head thing, but I'm really like, yeah, I'm serious. I'm like, that's true.
Yeah,
all of that, like it makes sense.
We create stuff on a daily, so it's just like everything you said was hitting home.
And it's a lot of fun, and we are very fortunate to do it. So, what is 2023 going to hold for you? You think, in your mind, what do you think?
2023. I'm still just going to be doing my thing, whether the market goes up or down, whether it's it continues to grow or it's volatile, or if trolls hate on me or if people love me or anything. I'm just continue to do my thing. I'm building my collection. I go to card shows as much as I can. I buy, sell, trade. I make my content. I think that if anything, I'm going to get more focused on my niche collectible markets that I collect, my pop culture stuff, especially wrestling. I really love wrestling, so I'm going to be getting more into that. I've got some cards to show off too once we start talking about that. But wrestling, and then just continue to build on my content and continue to try to build my platform, because it allows me so many opportunities within the hobby that I get a lot of value from it. So just continue to do that, and then just try to I don't know if you guys want to get into it, but try to be like a shield for a lot of people that are getting a lot of heat right now, and just kind of tell everybody that the hobby's going to be okay. Continue to do your thing. Don't worry about other people and what they say to you and things like that, and just keep things positive.
Yeah, because I know recently there have been some things that I've seen that there's been a lot of that the chitter chatter, the talk. So that's obviously here too. We give people a platform to kind of get their message out there, obviously, and let people know that, like you said, maybe it's just, you don't have to take it so seriously all the time.
Yeah, we have to remember that it is a hobby, and I know that we spend a lot of money in this hobby, right? Where a lot of people are invested in the hobby, but we have to remember that it is a hobby. So we have to kind of keep that foundation and just continue to encourage people to collect what they like, buy what they like. And then if I could just kind of hijack you guys' podcast for a second and speak to this issue that I'm trying to promote here, is there has to be, it has to be okay to show off what you have. It has to be okay to show your cards. There's a lot of people out there, or not a lot of people, but there is a certain amount of people that have kind of misappropriated or taken this term pump and dump and thrown it onto our hobby, where personally I don't think it applies. It's a term that you would use in stocks or crypto and things like that. I don't think it really applies to the hobby the way that it's meant to be interpreted. But a lot of people use that term, and now it's created this stigma where if you show off anything that's not like mainstream, there must be some like nefarious purpose behind it, right? Like if I showed off this exclusive Macho Man Mattel Ultimates figure, right?
Oh, yeah.
That nobody's ever seen before, and I said that this is really cool and awesome. I must be pumping it for whatever reason, because I'm going to dump it on eBay or whatever. But that's not true, guys. Remember, this is a hobby, right? And in the old days, where before we had social media, if you collected and you had this built up collection at your house, one of the things that you wish would happen is somebody would come to your house so you could show off your collection, right? That was like the thing that we all love to do. And now that we have social media, it's great because we can instantly show off the things that we have every single day to everybody in the world. And for some reason, in the past year or so, that's become like a negative thing where people just accuse other people of pumping and things like that. And I really try to speak out about that, because to me, I felt like a lot of people felt hesitant to kind of show off certain things that, and I just didn't like that environment that we were creating around that. So for me, I've tried to put myself out there and make fun of myself and call myself, it's okay to be it's okay to pump what you like. Basically, I created like a hashtag around that, pump what you like. And to me, pumping is basically just like another word for pride of ownership. You have to have pride of ownership of your collection and be very be a strong advocate for showing off what you collect, because that's where the exposure comes from. Okay, more exposure our hobby gets, the more people that come into the hobby, and again, the more people that come into the hobby, that will drive demand and that will maintain the values on our collections and things like that. So I made that silly whiteboard thing that like it says, what is it, things to pump next, my top 10 list of pumping things
Your
and things like that.
your
Just to
detailed
try to
pump
make fun.
plan. Your
Yeah,
detailed
my-
pump plan.
my
I had
pump
it
list.
written down here.
Yes. My pump list. Number one on that is Hoyu fat cards, guys. That's going to be huge.
Of course.
But
I said that the other day.
But we have to disarm that term, because I just feel like people are too like walking on eggshells about what they show off and how they present themselves in a hobby. And we just need to get rid of all that stuff. That all comes from negativity. I don't know where that came from. I don't know like who's pushing that, but we have to have pride of ownership about collections. It's okay to show things off. So that's just, I appreciate you guys giving me your platform for me to kind of spread that message.
Hey.
Absolutely. Because I'll tell you right now, I sit there and, I saw the videos. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it very much resonates with me as well, because, me may not be a collector of cards, but I am very into vinyl and I have a lot of vintage sports clothes. That's like my collection. And I love being able to show that off. And I think everybody should have that, not feel afraid to, show off whatever they want. Pump, like you said, pump what you like.
Yeah, because there's so much stuff out there that we don't even know it exists until somebody shows us, right? And then we see it and it might spark an interest in us, and we'll go down that rabbit hole doing research, and then we might start collecting that. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. We want more people to collect. That's the whole point of this process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you got it, flaunt it.
If you got it, flaunt it. Amen. Right there, baby. So one, I'm glad you brought up the Macho Man. Two, I know you said you wanted to get into wrestling, so of course I gotta get into the wrestling. So what I want to know is, so Impeccable, it's dropping this week. It's coming out. This is the first high-end product since the licensing switched over. So how have you felt about the cards so far that the WWE, it's been produced in 2022?
I love it. I love it so much, because I feel like wrestling is really starting to pick up momentum, and I don't know why like Panini is like the top dog and why people value those brands over Tops and things like that. But whatever, if that helps the wrestling card market, I'm all for it. I think that what they've done is how they've kind of rolled out their products has been spot on. They started out with Prism, which was like their proof of concept, where everybody really went head over heels for that product. It had a steep decline, but to come out, like a lot of people really love that product. And then they released that lower end tier, the Revolution, which the photography on that set was absolutely great. And then but it's just like a low end set, right? So it's just for hobbyists or entry level hobbyists. And then they recently came out with Select, which I really like a lot. The photography on that, whoever's designing those cards did a great job on that, and those cards are really holding their value. So that's really cool. And now Impeccable, this is very interesting, because this is like their mid-tier high-end product where you get on-card autos and things like that. And the designs on these things are really cool too. So that makes me really excited, because I guess they're testing out a price point there. And it makes me really excited because I feel like I'm a Flawless guy. So I feel like if Flawless comes out and they have on-card autos and the beautiful, designs, white backgrounds and things like that, I think it's going to be really great. So I'm all for it. And one thing that I think is really interesting about the wrestling market, which, I kind of want to discuss briefly here, is it's weird, right? Because wrestling, the legends command the most money. Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, right? Andre the Giant. The legends command the most money in the wrestling hobby, whereas the newer people that you would see on like NXT, the unproven prospects, if you want to call them that, they're like on the bottom tier, and that's kind of like the way it should be, right? But in sports and all these other categories, it's the opposite. So I think that we can actually learn a lot from the wrestling market, because that's how, like, if you're a collector, that's how you're supposed to to get into purchasing cards. You're supposed to, let the legends set the ceiling, and then let the prospects, be at the floor. And then if they get a big push and they become champion or something, their value should go up with that. So I think that's very interesting about wrestling cards.
That's a really good point, because you look at baseball products like Bowman, like if you get a young prospect who is, 18, 19, 20 years old, hasn't even played in the majors, you're like golden. Where if you get, a proven player, like say you just get like a random Sammy Sosa card or something,
right?
Like the prospect is going to accrue more value than a legend.
Right. Like I know that Black Prism Cad Cunningham, this came out, got pulled a couple of days ago or last week or whatever. They're saying that that's going to be like a $500,000 card or something like that. Yeah. That card is worth more than many LeBron James cards out there, and it just doesn't make sense, right? Exactly. So you don't see that in wrestling, and I think that I think that's because like wrestling is more of a collector base than a speculative prospecting base, and I think that could be an interesting trend to see, and I hope that can spread to maybe some other things. And I think if we do it that way, it really will bring a lot of stability to the card market.
Yeah, so you're almost thinking that, out of this Impeccable or, Prism, Revolution, you shouldn't necessarily be looking for, let's say, a Braun Breaker. Let's use him as an example. I would say he's probably the top rookie prospect, if you will, out of NXT, obviously the champion right now. So you're saying maybe it's not, getting his cards or getting his auto, investing in his stuff. You really want to get more of the legends. Like you want to Taker auto, Stone Cold, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I could go on with those, or maybe even current wrestlers like Charlotte or AJ Styles or Seth freaking Rollins.
Right, yeah, or Roman Reigns, right? Like the current guys that are established and they're champions that are getting the current push in wrestling. Those guys, you could equate those guys to having like a really record-breaking season, like Aaron Judge, for example, right? Like they're setting records and they're very relevant. But still, like the cards that command the most value in wrestling, I believe, are the legends like Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan. People that we watch growing up, that we have an emotional attachment to, that's who we value the most versus some young guy that we think is going to be like world champion someday. It's weird. It's like, because, wrestling is just scripted and things like that, right? So we don't treat it the same way that we would treat like baseball or basketball or something like that. But it makes so much more sense that you would value a legend over a prospect, and that you would treat their prices accordingly.
Which I think is interesting too. With that being said, I lost my train of thought. I was trying to think where I was. I lost my train of thought. I got too into it. Where was I? Did you have something? And maybe I'll think of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to put you on the spot real quick. So you personally, what's your favorite wrestling card you own?
That I own? Okay. Well, I'm going to give you like the parent answer where it's hard for me I love all my children, right? Equally. But if I had to pick, I would narrow it down. I would narrow it down to like a niche of cards that I've been collecting lately. I'm trying to be a little bit more smarter and picky about my collection. And I've been buying up one-of-one superfractors lately. Which, by the way, if you buy wrestling superfractor, is much more affordable than other types of superfractors in other sports, right? So recently I've been collecting, and I've got them right here. I've got 4 superfractors I want to highlight. Topps Transcendent, which is the highest end wrestling set ever made, okay? Until they come out with like Flawless or NT, this is going to be the highest set that they ever made. But they made superfractors in that set. And I've managed to acquire a few of them here. I've got a Charlotte Flair, which is my girl. I love her. She's one of the best. Charlotte Flair Superfractor. Bret Hart, a legend that everybody still loves. Superfractor here. And then this is a personal PC. It's not worth probably a lot of money, but to me, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, and you were a G.I. Joe fan, this was the guy. This was the man. Sergeant Slaughter. Superfractor. And then this is not part of the Transcendent set, but I just had to show it off too. This is my Roman Reigns Topps Finest Superfractor. So these are my favorite cards right now that I have in my collection. I sleep with these cards. I take them everywhere with me. They're my babies, and it makes me like every time I look at it, I get happy.
Tuck them in, make sure they're fed. Yeah,
Yes.
of course, the whole
Yeah,
9 yards.
I clean it every day. You know,
Right.
I say good mornings, good night to them, everything.
So I remember what I wanted to say. Now. So I feel as though the wrestling business is going into an era of popularity like we haven't seen since the Attitude Era. So do you think that that's going to help the wrestling card market?
Absolutely. And this was on one of your notes that you gave me to prepare for this interview. I don't think we got to this, but like emerging markets that I kind of wanted to talk about. So wrestling is a great example. What I try to do is I'm kind of known as like I collect weird alternative stuff, right? Pop culture is what I call it. And what I do is I look for strong IPs, intellectual property, okay, where there's a strong fan base to support demand. And wrestling is a great example of that. If you're not a wrestling fan, you're not going to understand this. But all you got to do is just a little bit of research to see how long wrestling's been around, how popular globally it is, how consistent the content is. Remember, when sports all shut down, wrestling still showed up every week on everybody's TV. Wrestling was there to entertain, the world every week. They never shut down. They never missed an episode. They even hosted WrestleMania still. So wrestling has a huge fan base. But what's interesting about wrestling is that the fan base are not necessarily card collectors, right? They'll buy everything that has a wrestling character on it, t-shirts, toys, mugs, whatever, right? Pins, everything. They'll brand everything. But for some reason, they haven't been strong into collecting cards because cards haven't been given the proper exposure to that wrestling crowd. But when they start doing that, I believe that that's going to create a lot of demand if you can get all those hardcore wrestling fans in, because once they start collecting, they buy everything, right? And it only gets more stronger as they continue to make content about it. So like every month they have a pay-per-view on it or things like that, or they push a different wrestler and they have different programs and things like that. So that's kind of how I approach collecting is I look for niche markets that have strong IPs. So you could say wrestling is one of them. You could say like Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, other things like this that have a strong fan base that are not card collectors yet. But if given the proper exposure and education and things like that, you can easily tap into that fan base. So I think that wrestling is going to be there for sure, because I've already seen them like have Panini commercials on their Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, things like that, right? And then you see guys like Logan Paul. He's in there right now, and he wears his Pokemon keychain, and the announcers are saying, "Oh, that's a PSA 10 Pokemon." They're kind of talking about that a little bit. So it's just a matter of time before the executives up there see a great marketing opportunity, and then they'll push it.
There you go. Listen, I could sit here and talk to you about wrestling cards for hours and hours, I feel like. And we might just have to. We may just have to do this another time for sure. But in closing here, what we like to do for every one of our guests, please roll out the red carpet here. Let us know where people can find you and what you got going on and just where your content's at.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So, again, I appreciate you guys giving me this chance. People can find me on Instagram. That's where I do most of my content, on Instagram, at the Great Curator. I do like funny reels. I occasionally make a little bit of educational content on there, and I show off my collection. I also have a YouTube channel also called The Great Curator, where I have a weekly podcast with my partner, World Cards. We call it Between Two Slabs, and we just talk about the hobby and different things on our mind. We do a lot of show vlogs because we travel the country. We do card shows. So we talk about a lot of buy, sell, trading things, issues like that. I'm on TikTok. I'm starting to grow that there, but that's mainly where I am. And then you can also find me at a lot of card shows in person. I'm very approachable, so always willing to meet people in the hobby and answer questions and do whatever I can to help out, fellow hobbyists. And the last thing I'll say too is just, again, to spread my message. It's okay to show off your collection, guys. It's okay to have pride of ownership. So don't let people make you feel bad. And if you're feeling stressed with the current environment that we have, just write it out and get back to the basics of collecting, and then just reach out to other people that may have different perspectives that can help you navigate the current times.
You heard it here first.
Yep. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your messages. And obviously, we hope to meet you in person someday soon. But besides that, just really appreciate you being here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
All right. We'll have to do it again. All right.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Take care. Have a good one.
Take care. Educational, but a longer one, but I learned a lot. Honestly, and it was a very, very good interview. I am very happy that we got a chance to talk to Daniel. He was fantastic. I would love to talk to him again. I think there's so much that we didn't unearth that we could have. But he had a great, great outlook on the hobby, one that I think we can all share. And I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that. I can tell from the chat you guys really liked that one. So I think that won't be the last time you see Daniel.
Yeah, very educating, very informative.
Yeah.
Really learn a lot from the guy.
Oh my God. Like knows his stuff, but I think he just covers all the bases. While he's well known in the hobby and knows some of the big players, I definitely think he's still one of us. I mean, that's how everybody else in the hobby is. Even though they're these, wow, that's so-and-so from this breaker or this company, there's still people at the end of the day.
Right.
And I think Daniel is the perfect example of that. So thanks to him again. Really enjoyed talking to him. Can't wait to talk to him again. But now it is 10:02. We're already over time, babies, but we wanted to bring you that great interview, so we couldn't stop it, right? But we're going to do our box rip giveaway. We're going to do Bowman Sterling. But first, Meerkat gave me a giveaway winner. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Thank you for the drum roll, Stevens. We asked you who was going to be the World Series MVP. And ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the Archives Baseball is Sean Atkinson on YouTube with the answer of Blake Snell. Sean, congratulations. Hopefully you're watching now. If you're not watching live, look out for a reply to your comment from DA Card World. And when you see that, make sure you email us your information at thechase@dacardworld.com. Once again, congratulations on winning the Archives. Sean Atkinson, thank you so much. We really appreciate your viewership, and hopefully you enjoy the Archives. All right, now, Bowman Sterling.
Yes.
It's time for the main. There it is. They're laughing at me out there. I don't appreciate that. Oh, let's get this out of the way. Bop. Goodbye. All right, Bowman Sterling.
Here's our problem, though. We have 5 packs. So who's going to rip that?
Well, let's each rip 2, and whoever gets the better pack, whoever is not as good of a pack, you take the extra pack.
Should
Make
we
sense?
We'll let the chat kind of voice their opinion.
Yeah. Did you have one? No? How did this get here? Oh. All right. Well, I got our cutter. Ooh. You want Elena to rip the 5th? Somebody said they want Elena to rip the 5th. All right. How do we want people to win? I think I know what I want to do.
You do it. I feel like I did the last one.
Let's do hobby. What is your favorite baseball product of all time?
Okay.
Of all time. Let us know in the chat live here on Twitch or, of course, on the YouTube replay. Let us know, what is your favorite baseball product of all time that you've collected, ripped, or whatever?
I'm down.
Go, Rip, go, Rip, go.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
That's a great shot. All right. Can I get the overhead? Thank you, sir. That's right. Slice it up. Oh, a lot of people saying Topps Chrome right off the rip. Topps Finest. 92 Pinnacle, Allen and Ginter. Some great answers here.
I don't know. I loved. Wow.
Hold on, I'm going to zoom out a little bit.
I loved our Diamond Icons break. Diamond Icons pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond Icons. Definitely. Diamond Icons, amazing. Okay, David, which ones do you want?
Let's
see. We'll leave the center. So do you want top or bottom? All right. Are you a top or bottom?
Top.
Is it really? Here you go. All right. I'll take the bottom.
Risque.
Well, you know. Controversy creates cash. Controversy creates cash. Where's Silly boys?
Kind of sounded like Alex
Big
Jones there.
chungus. Oh, why? I'm sorry. I thought these were in frame. I apologize. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Remember, let us know what your favorite baseball product of all time is. Seeing a lot of Topps Chrome. 89 Upper Deck. Okay.
I'm feeling a big card today for some reason. Usually
Yeah.
Usually I don't feel that way. I'm feeling it today.
Brand new product, ladies and gentlemen.
I like to stay level-headed when I do these breaks. I don't know. I'm just feeling something today.
Obviously, I love the look of these cards. Always nice.
Colson. Yeah, Colson Montgomery.
Marcelo Mayer.
Nice.
Do we have an auto? Let's do this. Oh, I guess it was in the back. Well, I guess we know how Bowman is now. Colton Cowser. On-card auto there for the O's.
Not bad.
Which I tell you right now, the O's, good organization.
Up and
good,
coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, good young organization. All right, Harry Ford, Lonnie White, Marcelo Mayer. I know that's a good one here. This is what I was looking at.
Okay.
How about out of 150, rookie of Josh Lowe out of 150?
Yeah, he's probably the oldest person in that pack right there.
Yeah,
He's
honest
a
to
rookie.
goodness, right?
Who was the auto?
The auto is Colton Cowser.
Let's check on him.
All right, next mini box here. And then we'll give it over to David.
Hey, he is in AAA.
Okay.
Batted 278 this year, 19 home runs. So he was 2021 Orioles round 1 overall pick number 5.
2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's working his way up if he's already in AAA.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, Greg Deichmann. Clement.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and there we go. Now, that one wasn't in the back. That was in the middle. What are you doing? What are you doing to me?
It's a surprise.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Curtis Mead out of 150. Curtis Mead. So 2 autos for
Khalil
Watson.
Watson.
Valera. And how about a Blaze Jordan?
Blaze.
Yeah.
Best name of all time.
Blaze Jordan. All right. Well, that is going to do it for my 2 packs. Let's see how David does.
That Curtis Mead, he's actually from Australia.
Good day.
That's pretty
Shrimp
impressive.
on the bobby.
You don't hear a lot of Australian baseball players.
No, you really don't. Do you think Curtis Mead
What the
eats
hell?
Vegemite? Ba-da-da-da-da-day change. Mead and Meerkat says Mead and Cowser are good, and Wahoo's replies with Meerkat is good.
Not wrong.
Wait. Hobo Fuzz. You guys casted a DNA Lounge movie? Who's playing who? Aussie. Oi.
So Anthony Volpe, possibly the next up-and-coming shortstop for the Yankees. Hedbert Perez. Brandon Marsh out of 99.
Nice.
Now on the
nice,
Phillies.
nice.
Wilman Diaz of the Dodgers
Ooh.
on the auto. Not bad. Harry Ford and Lonnie White Jr.
Hobo Fuzz, we suggested Tom Hardy as Pete, and I was Danny McBride was suggested to play me. What's so funny about that? I like Danny McBride in Eastbound and Down because I just love the Jerry Curl mullet he has.
Loaded up and
Truckin'. You know Smokey and the Bandit? Hey, your parents raised you well, kid.
They sure did. Josh Lowe?
Oh my God.
What? What did I miss?
Is Steve going to be Peter Dinklage? Steve sent this. That's definitely Sean. That's 100%.
We got Wander Franco, rookie base. All right, and then we got Oscar Colas. Look at that. Look at that sig. Just his last name, Colas.
Colas. Kind of like cola.
All right. And then Javier Piguero, Averson Ortega, and Spencer Strider on the rookie for the Braves, up and comer.
There you go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
and I know he just signed that deal too. He had an extension, 5 years,
Yeah,
something like that. Okay, guys, who's gonna get the last pack? What do you think? Can we get a vote in the chat here?
Yeah, who are we thinking? Last pack magic.
Who's getting the last pack? What do you guys think? You guys, I'm seeing Elena, camera guy, Elena.
Okay. Oh, good lord.
God. All right, well, I guess Elena's gonna rip this one.
I will give this to
First
you.
of all, I'd appreciate if you didn't gallop like a horse into frame. All right, oh my God. Get
up.
Sit.
Wow.
Where are your manners?
Please.
Excuse me, we use coasters in these parts.
Yeah, what do you think this is, huh? You live in a barn? You live in a barn? Sit down.
Can I get the cutter?
Yes, here's the cutter. Be careful, please.
All right.
Eastbound, down, loaded up and truck.
I've only ever watched people do that. I've never actually cut anything.
It's probably for the best.
Why?
Hey, Elena, make sure you're in the camera. There you go.
Oh my God. You sit far.
I got longer arms than you. All right, first of all,
Wait. I got to show. Sean would be.
show that it's empty.
Sean would be proud.
Make Sean proud.
Okay. I'm like breathing heavy because I've been drinking my coffee.
Coffee.
Oh.
Oh, my God, you paused way too
Yeah,
hard.
that was. Guy been drinking my
Drinking.
coffee.
All right.
Elena's just in the back, just hammering out Mick Ultras at 10.
It
10
would
in
be
the morning.
Mick Ultras too. All right.
Very health conscious around here.
Lejo Lopez.
Coffee.
Coffee. Ubrio. Angels.
Angelis. Angelis.
Oh my God, I'm so brutal. Wander Franco.
Oh
That might be numbered. What's that number?
That's 100% number.
Nope, in the front.
On the front.
Check the corners. Maybe not.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
there.
right below the Sterling.
144 out of 150. Look at me.
Nice.
Oh, you people love it.
Right into my hands, guys.
All right, I know this is an auto. Benny Montgomery.
That's actually a good
That's
one.
the
Nice. Go
Is that the,
me.
oh, like,
Go me.
that's the Borat dude, right?
Benny Montgomery is the one who wrote Borat and then put like Benny
Benny
on
and
the
the
Jets
Jets.
as one of his cards.
Go me.
Oh, we
Go
got
Elena.
we got his boring auto.
Yeah, we had the actual auto.
And a little Aaron Ashby.
Wow.
Go me. I won. I'm a winner. I won. I won. I win the box rip. I won the
Alright.
giveaway.
Oh, you did come out to the camera. Was I turned around when you came out? Was I just standing like this? Absolute mayhem on this show.
I do always win. Oh, he's coming back for his chair.
All right. Well, you can stand there if you want. Here.
Ah.
If you're going to stand there, you might as well participate. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Look forward to Friday. That's going to be another great interview. Rip, Pack, and Slab, ladies and gentlemen. Rip, Pack, and Slab. Look them up. Javid Best, former NFL player, and his cousins making music for the hobby. Stay tuned. Jersey John is going to be streaming live in the lounge when we are done. Please join us on Instagram Live after this. DA_the Chase will have the Chase Unplugged. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple if you can't watch on Twitch. Also, make sure you're catching the YouTube replay and follow us across all platforms at DA Card World and then at DA_the Chase. Whew. I think that's it.
That's
We
it.
good? Anybody else?
We're done.
Got
Pack it up.
anything? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until
Da-da-da-da-da.
Friday, you know what it is. Just remember, it's all about the chase.
Wow.
Jesus, kid. What is this, Greg
now need a new
Maddux?
TV.
Nolan Ryan over here. Top guys out.